Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jordan here. Welcome. I hope you can hear me, and I hope this stream is working. Honestly, this entire stream is just me testing, make sure that I can live stream on Hive Mind Hobbies. But we're gonna do a pretty cool topic as well. I've got a spicy Vanguard Onslaught list. It's actually not very spicy at all. It's very it's okay. It's a good one. But we're going to deploy a Vanguard Onslaught list that I'm actually kind of hyped about. I think that this could be pretty cool. It could be pretty fun. It is much more of a hybrid list than I am used to, meaning I just have shooting at all. Like I have 2 exocrines. And a lot of the time when I play Vanguard Onslaught, I don't have any exocrines. But this is it. Before we get into a whole bunch of stuff and I go through all of that, some big announcements. A couple of things for the channel. Memberships and super chats are now enabled. Finally gone through the process, and we're a blooming channel. So thank you for your support. If you're interested in supporting us even further, then consider becoming a member. I have the Gargoyle tier. It's the only tier I have right now. But if you want to help me get an extra cup of coffee or something when I'm feeling drowsy, consider becoming a member, as well as super chats whenever we do these streams. In addition, speaking of streams, I'm going to be starting the new Tyranid Army List review show. I'm going to hopefully do it like twice a month. I think that's going to be a little bit more better for me. I was doing it once a week on W&W for quite some time, and it was really fun, but it just became just a little bit too much for the time. So I think I'm going to split it up a little bit more. So aiming for twice a month. It's going to be using the same exact system that I was using on Wednesday Night Warhammer. Of course, there's a post on Hive Mind Hobbies that you can check out. You can just copy and paste your list right in there, and I'll review it when I get to it. I'm hoping the first live stream is going to be this Tuesday around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be there, check it out, and if you want your Tyranid list to be reviewed, copy and paste it right into that post, and I would love to see it. In addition, if you're hearing me, like the stream, comment, say what's up, tell me what your favorite flavor of ice cream is, or where the best place you think it is to get fried chicken. I'd be interested to hear all of your answers. In my opinion, as a southeastern United States person, it's definitely Publix. I could have just said Floridian, but it's definitely Publix. Anyways, all of that stream shilling out of the way, let's take a look at this Vanguard Onslaught list. This is 2,000 points right on the nose, I believe. A couple of spicy picks, like I was saying before, that I don't normally include, is 2 exocrines, right? And then I had the space for Swarmlord. I think Swarmlord's cool, right? I think he's cool. So I'm going to try and, see if he's good. The rest of the list, we have 2 hyper-adapted Raveners, because I think they're like the mainstay of Vanguard Onslaught, honestly. I think they're pretty good. 2 Broodlords with a bunch of Gene Stealers. In our battle line, we have 2x10 Gargoyles, a Biovore, 3 Lictors, 5 Gene Stealers, 2 exocrines like we were talking about, and 2x5 Raveners. And that's the entire list. It's not a lot of units, especially if you start joining the Raveners, but I still think it has a pretty good punch. And I think it can still do quite a bit of Vanguard shenanigans, of course, with all 3 Lictors, and then with all of your Gene Stealers and your Raveners, you're able to apply a good amount of pressure. So it could be pretty good. Oh, what's up, One True Dark Soul? Good to see you, man. So just a very quick stream. True Soul, we're doing army list review shows on Hive Mind Hobbies pretty soon, starting this week. So check out that post if you haven't. I know you always have some pretty spicy, cool lists running out. So I'd be excited to take a look at them. So this is just table 1. And we're just doing tipping point, take and hold. I'm just going to do a very quick deployment and then just go through there. I'll probably simulate a first turn of deployment as well and just go through that. Of course, if you are playing with a bunch of infiltrators, you probably want to go first. Yep, I am live. I am here. So there's a couple different spaces that I like to include my lictors when I'm going first, especially with Vanguard Onslaught. You also kind of want to decide whether or not you're putting a whole bunch of pressure up immediately, or if you're going to try and do 1 or 2 waves and then go from there. So I think in this specific list, unless we're going up against some really, really big, heavy-hitting monsters, I'm going to want to separate my Raveners just so I have more units. So let's say I have 1 Raveners conjoined, and then the other Raveners split up. So we kind of like split the difference there. And the Raveners that are split up, I'll put the Hyper Adaptives in Deep Strike. And then all the other Raveners are, of course, going to be on the table because we can uppy downy freely. Easy peasy. All right. So when I'm deploying, I want to do my infiltrators first. What's up, Necro Goblin? Good to see you, man. Yeah, Vanguard Onslaught is definitely an interesting archetype, but I completely understand it's not for everybody. I think this is actually a pretty good spot right here to put your lictor. A couple of reasons, right? You want to think of some different secondaries that you can achieve turn 1. This is a very good area denial, establish locus, or, you know, secure no man's land. Just all those cool things that you can be in on that objective. In addition, if I want to take this lictor onto the other objective, I can do that as well. Necro Goblin, what's your like standard? What's your normal list of detachment that you run? In addition, the lictor is going to be an inch off the wall here, so he can't be charged through the wall. And then he's also screening out anybody that's trying to get in the way of my Gene Stealers. And the Gene Stealers being able to scout and do what they want is also very, very important. So that's going to be my first deployment, is my lictor right there. Let's say my opponent is probably going to infiltrate somewhere around here, you know, and they're going to try and screen out their field and pretty much do the exact same thing that I did with my lictor with whatever that they have. Yeah, I'll be honest, I like Monster Mash too. It's like Monster Mash stuff, Vanguard, and then like combined arms. I have been on a invasion fleet kick recently, and so I don't know, that's been pretty fun too. But Vanguard is always deserved of a place in my heart for it. Anyways, so that lictor's there. Boom. Let's say we want this lictor to do something like this. I like this lictor here, especially on table 1. Because that's a pretty easy way to pressure this objective, even if it's just 1 lictor. They put a squad out there or something, then we can do some crazy stuff. In addition, with it being low nop, it's very, very difficult for your opponent to get to this lictor. And if they come over here, then the rest of your stuff can probably punch back pretty easily. And then at this point, once I've deployed these 2 lictors, I think I'm actually pretty okay with deploying everything else. So we're going to start what I call like the slow deploy, or we're just going to deploy things that don't really matter. The first thing that doesn't really matter if you're playing Tyranids, it's going to be the Biovore. Oh, and excuse me, I think I probably want to have 1 squad of Gargoyles in Deep Strike. So the Biovore, it doesn't matter because you and your opponent both know, like, who you kidding? You and your opponent are both knowing that the Biovore is going to go in the back of the objective. Yeah, Ryan. So I'm actually... the reason why I'm going to Invasion Fleet is I've been testing Tyranid Warriors, believe it or not, and taking down C'tans. And I think Tyranid Warriors are actually probably one of the best ways, one of the best tools that we have to take out C'tans, which is very kind of weird. I think I'm going to make a video on it, but if you do crits 5s, sustain and lethal on the Tyranid Warriors, and they twin link, that is actually a bunch of damage going into a C'tan. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with. But I think Invasion is probably the best bet for C'tan as well. All right, so Biovore's there. You know it. Your opponent's going to know it. And I always check, you know, most of the time your opponent's not going to be able to bring anything turn 1. But I always like to check to see what's the best point where I can, like, really screen off. And, like, at that point right there, maybe if you're playing against another Tyranid player, he can put a Spore Mine there. So, honestly, I would even just do this, especially if you're playing against Tyranids. But just don't forget to, of course, then move the Biovore back onto your home during your turn. All right, so Bible wears down. Your opponent puts another thing down. Really, the thing that we are kind of stalling for is we want to create a kind of safe pocket for the Gene Stealers to go out. We don't really want our opponent to know where the Gene Stealers are going to be. So another unit that doesn't really matter where it goes is the Raveners. And that is because Raveners cannot be down. They can go wherever they want, you know? So I'm going to put my 5-man squad of Raveners right here, just because they might not be there anymore, or they could be there. Who knows? So they'll go there. And now I'm kind of deciding I want to have the flexibility of either having my Lictor on this objective or not. So I'm honestly going to put another Lictor here. Probably here-ish. Want to leave room for our Gene Stealers to scout, of course, but boom. And that way this Lictor can hop onto that objective, and then this Lictor can hop onto that objective if we need to. Nice. We know that Swarmlord is probably going to want to go towards the center of the battlefield, so he can do his Vector Aura and do lots of very cool Swarmlord things. So I'll put him right there. Seems like a good place for him. You had a 3-player 1K game some time ago where you used Sub-Assault 1 with a few points and started with all except Death Leaper and Deep Strike. Holy crap. Don't seem to be many using Leapers anymore. You mean Death Leaper or Von Ryan's Leapers? Have you considered Zoanthrope plus Neurotyrant Brick on reserves? You can make them arrive turn 1 in No Man's Land with Vanguard, and you can reposition them later. I agree. So here's the thing, Martin. I used Zoanthropes quite some time, and Vanguard Onslaught, there's a bunch of different iterations that I used. And maybe this is just me blaming my dice or my opponent's dice being too good, but I was burned way too many times with my Zoanthropes just bouncing and then not doing anything, and then they die. So that's why I don't do Zoanthropes, but I actually really do like that strategy as well. I spent some time, doing the turn 1 Deep Strike. The Zoanthropes, they come in, they like delete a screen or something, and then your Gene Stealers can charge easier, and you can pick them back up again. So Martin, I do really like that strategy as well. I just haven't been doing it in the past. Maybe I should try it again. Maybe you're right. What's up, Max? Good to see you, man. Okay, cool. Moving right along. Swarmlord, you can go out there and do some cool stuff. Now, unfortunately, I think we have to put things that matter out. So I'm going to put this Exocrine here. I'm going to get rid of these bubbles because they bother me. Boop, boop. And then you just want to make sure that this angle is not there for the Exocrine. And then if he moves up 8, if we don't have advance to shoot, he should be able to see both of those things. Cool, cool, cool. So first Exocrine there. And then on table 1, one of my favorite spots to put an Exocrine. I'm just going to shift over these Raveners. I'm cheating, I know. But my favorite spot to put the Exocrine is like right here, or like right here even. And that's because the Exocrine could just be wholly within the terrain. Say he's there. And then with his gun poking out, he can get this angle all the way down here. 36 is quite a bit if your opponent pressures too much into your side of the field. Or he can, shoot this way too, if we scoot him up a little bit. So let's say I put him right here. Split the difference here. Boom. Easy peasy. So those are my 2 Exocrines down. Gene Stealers. Now, in this build, I have a 5-man Gene Stealer squad. I think the 5-man Gene Stealer unit is one of the most underrated units that we have in our codex. They're good, man. For 20 attacks, hitting on 2s, reroll 1s, they're annoying. Like the 5-up invuln is kind of annoying. And then they're basically going to move 16 round 1. I could just put Gene Stealers all the way up in my opponent's face and tell them that they can't move anywhere, and then stage some Raveners for a second turn punch or something like that. They're good. I really, really do like the Gene Stealers. And even just the 5-man. Okay, moving on. Our Gene Stealers here. Now in this build, especially because I don't have as many like throwaway units, I'm not really interested in doing like an alpha strike where I send my entire army into my opponent's deployment zone. That's not really what I'm trying to do with this build. I'm trying to just kind of, you know, stage in waves, have my Exocrine support, and then Swarm Lord really make it annoying for my opponent to fight through all of my Gene Stealers. So I'm lining up these Gene Stealers to scout just into this Dorito, right? I don't really want them to go to my opponent's face or whatever, so they're just going to be there. And if I go second, then I'm, of course, going to be triple checking my opponent's lines of sight over here. That line is the closest line that they can get. So when I do scout forward, I'm going to make sure that they are not able to be seen. All right, so those Gene Stealers are there. Gargoyles. I kind of like staging my Gargoyles in no matter what detachment I'm playing. I like staging my Gargoyles like this. And the reason is because if my opponent puts anything here to hold that objective, it's actually really easy for my Gargoyles to come out 12, right? And then they shoot and scoot, and then they just take that objective away from my opponent. And then it's going to make them to send another unit out there to actually hopefully hold that point on the following turn. So this is a great place on table 1 to put your Gargoyles, so that you can just, you know, take off their primary on the next turn and then make them do other things. And also, same vein, they can just go out to the center as well if there's something that needs you to go out in the center and you don't want to spend your lictor. Second squad of Gene Stealers. Now we kind of need to decide where our 2 bricks are, or 2 big bricks. That 10 Gene Stealer squad, and then this 10-man Ravener squad. I typically like to do maybe Raveners here with like the thought that, yes, I'm probably also going to maybe uppy downy them so they're not actually going to be there. But then if my opponent goes out here and tries to kill my lictor once it's sat on the objective, then these Raveners can absolutely come out and demolish whatever's on that objective. Of course, if I want them to, right? So the lictor right there is kind of bait of, hey, come on out. It'll be fine. And then you just punch them with a gazillion Raveners. So yeah, I think I like the Raveners there. I'll probably scoot them back so that they are an inch off the wall, of course, yada, yada, yada. I don't want them to get charged. You know, that's probably not going to happen, depending on who I'm playing or what I'm playing against. And where my Gene Stealers go? These Gene Stealers here. These Gene Stealers, I think, are absolutely going to be designed for like a counter punch. And now I'm considering 2 options. One, maybe they take the place of where the Gargoyles are. So in this case, maybe I have the Gene Stealers turn 1, swap place with the Gargoyles. Like the Gargoyles will move back, they move forward and die, and then the Gene Stealers stage where the Gargoyles are. I have that option right there. Again, I'm not really trying to do an alpha strike with this list. You know, I don't think that that is always the best option to go for, but I'm really more staging and setting up for future turns. So that's kind of my thought process, my immediate thoughts on deploying this. Both Exocrines are going to be able to step out and get some pretty good lines of fire throughout. Gargoyles are staged to take the objective. These 5-man Gene Stealers are out to harass and probably turn 1 charge the Gene Stealers. If I don't go first, then these Gene Stealers are probably going to go behind the wall, something like that, so that they're hidden to live another day, etc., etc. So that's deployment. That's the list. Let's simulate a first turn. So I have my secondaries here. I'm going to draw 2 secondaries, and I'm going to talk through how I would manage going through these 2. So I get Overwhelming Force and Display of Might. Let's redraw Overwhelming Force because it's just kind of hard to describe. Okay, Establish Locus and Display of Might. Honestly, like perfect secondaries for turn 1 for what we want to be doing with this list. Establish Locus, Display of Might. Okay. So let's see. We can put the Air Denial bubble up. And something very interesting to see is you can establish locus because this outer ring right here is 6 inches. You can establish locus pretty easily while not even being on the objective. And oftentimes that's better than being on the objective and just like baiting out a charge or something. So let's say we went first and would have scouted up these Gene Stealers. We all move 8. We're just doing this kind of quick. And then at this point, you don't really have to immediately, like, just because you scouted your Gene Stealers up does not mean that you have to throw them away, right? And oftentimes, if you scout them forward and then you just move them behind this wall, that's perfectly fine. And you can do that as well. Just save them and live them for another day. If your opponent has like a scouting unit or like a skirmishing infiltrating unit over here, I would highly encourage for then the Gene Stealers to move over there and then charge whatever's located in this area. Because that's pretty much what the Gene Stealers are good at, right? They want to kill MSU units, they want to kill small Space Marine squads or something. So let's say Gene Stealers are going over here, and of course if we advance, sure, they get 1 more inch and they charge something there. That's their job turn 1. Gene Stealers die turn 1. And it's just your 5-man, then that's fine. As long as you're able to trade and make your opponent commit something more meaningful than a 5-man unit of Gene Stealers. Then this Lictor is probably going to toe onto the point. These Gene Stealers, after they've scouted up, of course, they will move up, and just get safely in that Dorito, just making sure that they can't be shot at. Also remember your 18-inch lone op strat. It's very useful. And then we want to decide where we want to go with our gargoyles. I don't know. I probably scoot the gargoyles as far up as possible. Just like that. And then depending on what army you were playing against, you can just say, hey, they're right on the wall, just to get as much movement as possible. Or you just say they're still 1 inch off the wall, just to make sure that they are super safe from any scary individuals. And then Gene Stealers can go right behind. Boom, boom. Oh, we have to redraw a display of might, because it is the first turn. My bad. Doop, totally forgot. Boom, behind enemy lines. We probably redraw that too. Cleanse, perfect. Easy. So establish locus and cleanse is kind of tough. We might choose one or the other. Establish locus, depends how many points it is. 2, so it's actually more points if you cleanse on both objectives as opposed to establishing locus and then cleansing. So I think in this case, then the Lictor will actually probably come out here, touch that objective. We'll have 2 Lictors cleanse. These Gene Stealers moving up. Boop, boop, boop. They're safe. Easy peasy. And then Excrin maybe pokes his head out, probably doesn't. And then the last thing that I want to do, I forgot, where's my Spore Mine? Is we want to put a Spore Mine right here. So that's going to screen out for later turns. That's it. How do Trigons fare in Vanguard, as I like my monsters? I think they're okay. I think like advanced and charging Trigons is pretty cool. That's fine. They're just they're so fragile, you know? If you want to play Trigons, I definitely would recommend Subterranean Assault. I think they're pretty good in there. There was a point in time in the meta where like triple Mawlock, like yo-yoing them and then like getting a bunch of mortal wounds would happen all the time. That's pretty cool. It's pretty sweet. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's the best, to be honest. So I'd be interested in that. I think some people have used Trigons before, and I almost put one in this list, but I just don't think they are as strong as we would like for them to be. Anyways, very quick stream, folks, but I really wanted to just, 1, make sure that streaming works on Hive Mind Hobbies. It does. And 2, I wanted to talk about our Army List review shows that will be happening very, very soon. I'm hoping, I'm scheduling the first one to being this Tuesday around 4:30. If you would like for me to review your Tyranids list, please post it in the post section of Hive Mind Hobbies in the channel, and I would love to take a look at it. Memberships should be live as well, so if you want your list to have priority, although I'm not expecting a large queue to start out, but if you would like your list to have priority, consider becoming a member. Supports the channel. It's a lot of really cool stuff. It does. What do you mean it does? Anyways, that is it for today. I'm excited to see all of you guys soon on Tuesday and in all of the videos that will be coming out shortly. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great rest of your day and rest of your weekend. Bye.